My alpha mate rejected me before the pack. Then my wolf awakened and stopped the ceremony. The full moon rose high above the silver moon forest, spilling silver light across the clearing where the pack had gathered. Brasp. Tall trees swayed gently, whispering secrets to one another, their leaves shimmering like the scales of ancient dragons. In the center of the circle, Lyra stood with her heart pounding, dressed in ceremonial silver threads that gleamed under the moon. Her hair, black as midnight, cascaded over her shoulders, catching the light like flowing shadow. Tonight was the night she was to be bound to Taylor, the alpha of the Silver Moon Pack. A sacred bond awaited her, a bond that would unite their powers, their spirits, and their destinies. The pack watched in silence, a sea of expectant eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight. Elder wolves, warriors, and young initiates had all gathered, the tension thick enough to taste. Lyra's wolf instincts stirred within her, a low hum of anticipation that vibrated through her bones. Her mate, Kalen, stood opposite her, tall and commanding, his silver eyes glinting under the moon. He was the strongest wolf in the pack, unmatched in skill and revered by all. Death. Lyra had dreamt of this moment for years. She had imagined the gentle touch of his hand, the warmth of his presence, the sense of belonging that would finally fill the emptiness she carried. But as Kalen stepped forward, the air shifted. His eyes, sharp and unreadable, met hers, and something in them froze her blood. "I cannot," Kalen said, his voice steady but heavy with unspoken weight. The words fell like stones in the silent clearing. "Lyra, I cannot take you as my mate." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Whispers spread like wildfire. Lyra's heart lurched as if caught in a trap. What do you mean?" she asked, her voice trembling but fierce with disbelief. Kalen's gaze did not waver. "Bay, I cannot risk it," he said simply, shaking his head. "This bond, it is not safe. You are unworthy." Ration. The whispers of the pack turned into murmurs of shock and confusion. Lyra felt the ceremonial silver threads around her arms burn like chains, her heart constricting springs. She had prepared herself for trials, for tests, but never for rejection, especially not from the one she had chosen to trust above all others. Pain and humiliation clawed at her, threatening to swallow her. Her wolf stirred within her, sensing the injustice, feeling the weight of betrayal. It was a low, simmering fire at first, small but insistent. Lyra's vision blurred as tears threatened to spill. The pack's eyes bore down on her, their judgment heavy, their surprise mingled with fear. But she wanted to scream, to challenge him, to demand answers, but she held herself in check, her wolf instincts pushing her toward action, toward reclaiming her power. She could feel it now, a stirring deep within her, a presence she had always felt, but never fully known. Her blood burned. Her senses sharpened. The forest around her came alive. "Hey!" She could hear every rustle, every heartbeat, every whisper of the wind. Lyra's wolf was awakening. Kalen's eyes flickered at the change. He had always known she carried strong wolf blood, but this was beyond anything he had expected. A bond that should have been controlled, restrained, and ceremonial now quivered with raw energy. "You don't understand," he said, taking a step back, almost afraid. "This bond, it could destroy you."
"It could destroy me."
Lyra's chest heaved. Her wolf surged, a silver glow breaking through the dark of her pupils. Strength and fury wrapped around her like a cloak. No longer just frightened or broken, she felt powerful. untamed, unyielding, alive. I understand perfectly, she whispered, her voice low, carrying the weight of her wolf. And I am not afraid. The crowd watched in awe as Lyra stepped forward, the ground beneath her trembling subtly. Her hair swirled around her like smoke in the night. The air shimmered with tension, the boundary between human and wolf thinning. Her wolf howled, silent but piercing, vibrating in the bones of every wolf present. It was a call no one could ignore. Kaelin's breath caught. His silver eyes widened as he sensed the power that had lain dormant inside her. He realized that he had underestimated her, and that the rejection he thought was safety might have awakened something beyond his control. Lyra's heart raced, not from fear, but from exhilaration. The pain of rejection still burned, but now it fueled her, igniting a strength she had never fully embraced. Her wolf howled again, this time louder, shaking the forest. Leaves fell like silver rain, and the moon seemed to grow larger, brighter, as if approving her awakening.
You cannot, Kaelin whispered, almost pleading now. The curse?
If we bond, the curse will. I will not be afraid of you or your curse, Lyra said firmly. Her voice carried authority, a sound that made even the oldest elders lean forward in astonishment. If it destroys me, I will face it, but I will not bow to fear. I will not be rejected. The wind twisted through the clearing, carrying with it the scent of wildflowers, pine, and something ancient, magic older than the oldest wolf in the pack. Lyra could feel it responding to her wolf, flowing into her like a river of power. Every instinct screamed that this was her moment, her choice, her awakening. Kaelin's jaw tightened, and for the first time, Lyra saw vulnerability in his eyes. He had always been a mountain, cold, unyielding, untouchable. But now he was hesitant, almost afraid of what he had triggered. Lyra's wolf shifted within her fully, silver fur bristling, teeth bared in a silent snarl. Her claws dug into the earth. The ceremonial threads around her wrists glimmered and stretched under the strain of her energy. Bow. She was no longer just a girl who had dreamed of this bond. She was a force that could not be contained. The pack stepped back, murmuring and growling in caution. Kaelin raised a hand, a silent command to halt. But even he did not fully control what was unfolding. The power between them hummed like a storm, fragile yet terrifyingly alive. For a moment, time itself seemed to hold its breath. One another, wolf to wolf, human to human. The energy that had been simmering for years. The unspoken connection, the silent longing, the fear, and the anger, all came to a head in this frozen night. Then, with a roar that shook the forest, Lyra's wolf stepped fully into her body. Her silver eyes glowed, her strength surged, and she let out a howl so pure and wild that the pack trembled. The ceremony shattered. The moonlight danced off her hair like liquid silver. The clearing echoed with the sound of an awakening. One that no one could ignore, one that would change everything. Kaelin stepped back, caught between awe and fear. Psst. He realized that the girl he had rejected was no longer the same. She was more than his mate. She was a force of nature, a storm wrapped in silver fur and fire. And in that moment, Kaelin understood that his fear had awakened the very power he had tried to deny. Lyra's heart pounded, not with anger, not with sorrow, but with clarity. She had been rejected, yes. Humiliated, yes. But she had also discovered the truth of herself. She was strong. She was fearless. And she was not alone. The pack stared in stunned silence, unsure whether to approach or flee. The elders whispered among themselves, sensing the shift in power, the breaking of old boundaries. The night had changed. The rules had shifted. And in the center of it all, Lyra's silver eyes met Kaelin's, unwavering.
I will not be ignored, she said, her voice low but resonant.
And I will not be denied. Kaelin's breath caught in his throat. He had rejected her to protect her from a curse he did not fully understand, but now, standing in the glow of her awakening, he realized that the true danger had been underestimating her.
The wolf inside her would not be silenced. The night hung heavy with tension, the moon casting long shadows across the clearing. Lyra's wolf prowled within her, ready, powerful, and unstoppable.
Kaelin, for the first time, felt the weight of choice pressing against his chest.
How would he face this awakening? How would he confront the girl he had rejected and the wolf that now roared through her veins? The ceremony had ended in silence, but in that silence something ancient had stirred. The forest itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the next move. Breaths, and in the center of it all, Lyra lifted her chin, her eyes glowing silver in the moonlight, her wolf awakened and unafraid. The pack would never forget this night. Neither would Kaelin, and Lyra knew this was only the beginning. The forest was quiet, but the silence carried a weight heavier than any storm. Lyra walked among the ancient trees, her senses heightened, alert to every whisper of wind, every rustle of leaf. The awakening of her wolf had changed everything. No longer was she just a girl of the Silver Moon Pack. She was something more, something wild, untamed, and powerful. Kaelin watched from a distance, his silver eyes narrowing with thought and worry. The Alpha had always been certain of his control, his authority, and his strength, but Lyra's awakening had shattered that certainty. Every step she took, every flick of her hair in the moonlight seemed to challenge him silently. She was no longer the girl he had rejected. She was a force that demanded acknowledgement. She had tried to speak with her, to explain himself, to warn her of the curse that had haunted his family for generations. But each attempt ended in tension, the air between them thick with unsaid words and shared frustration. Kaelin feared the bond, yes, but he feared her power even more. Lyra stopped beside a silver stream, watching the water reflect her glowing eyes. She had fled the clearing after the failed ceremony, needing space to process the storm of emotions raging inside her. Betrayal had pierced her heart, yet pride and awakening had tempered it with a strange sense of clarity. Her wolf prowled within her, urging her forward, reminding her that she was stronger than rejection. She dipped her hand into the cold water and let it trickle over her fingers. The moonlight danced on the ripples, reflecting a path that she was unsure she wanted to follow, or perhaps that she was afraid to follow. Breaths, Kaelin's voice echoed softly from the shadows. "You shouldn't be out here alone," he said, stepping into the moonlight, his tone calm but edged with tension. His presence was magnetic, commanding, yet careful. Every movement suggested both caution and desire, a dance they had yet to name. Breath. Lyra turned slowly, her silver eyes meeting his. "I am never truly alone," she said.
Not with my wolf! And not in this forest!
But everything hears me. Everything sees me. Sick! I am aware now, Kaelin. More than I have ever been. Kaelin frowned, the wind tugging at his dark hair. Power without control can be dangerous, he warned. Psst. The awakening is not just a gift, Lyra. It is a test. Psst. Many have failed it, even mates who seemed strong. Lyra felt her chest tighten. Breath. She had feared this warning, had expected it, but hearing it from him made the fire within her flare. I will not fail, she said softly, yet with steel in her tone.
I do not need your protection. You rejected me.
But I am not weak. I am not afraid of the curse, and I am not afraid of you. Kalen's eyes flickered with something unspoken. Guilt, regret, perhaps even longing. He had denied her to protect her, but now, standing beneath the silver moon, he understood that his protection had been a cage, and Lyra had broken free. The tension between them did not ease. Instead, it thickened, each heartbeat like a drum in the forest, echoing with power and unspoken desire. For Kalen, every glance at her reminded him of the rejection, the fear, and the possibilities of what could come if the bond between them fully awakened. The days that followed were filled with whispers. The pack murmured among themselves, divided in their opinion of Lyra's sudden rise in power. Some viewed her as a symbol of hope, a prodigy whose strength could secure the pack's future. Others feared her, feared the power she now wielded, and the storm that her awakening might bring. Kalen felt the shifting loyalty of the pack, the uncertainty of his own leadership, pressing down on him like a heavy cloak. Bration, meanwhile, trained in secret, embracing her wolf. She ran through the forest with grace and speed that astonished even the elders. She learned to listen to the subtle language of the trees, to follow the whispers of water and wind, and to read the emotions of every creature around her. Her wolf guided her, teaching her instincts she had never known, helping her understand the full scope of the bond she could one day share with Kaelen. Yet even in her growing strength, her heart remained unsettled. She wanted answers, clarity, a reason for his rejection. She wanted to understand why Kalen, the alpha she had admired for so long, had turned her away when everything in the pack had pointed to their union. One evening, as the moon rose like a silver sentinel above the forest, Lyra encountered Kalen at the edge of the sacred glade. He was training, his movements precise, elegant, and powerful. His wolf instincts hummed beneath his skin, muscles coiling with energy and control. For a moment they simply watched each other, the tension between them as tangible as the mist curling through the trees. "You are improving," Kalen said finally, his voice low. "Faster." Stronger, sharper, break. I had not expected this. His words trailed, uncertain, as if admitting admiration might betray something deeper. Lyra lifted her chin, meeting his gaze steadily. "You doubted me," she said, the edge in her voice clear. "You rejected me when you should have guided me, but I did not fall. I rose. Psst. And now I will not hide." Kylan's expression hardened for a moment, then softened. The pack's history weighed on him. Generations of curses, trials, and bonds that had destroyed those who had mismanaged them. "This bond, it is dangerous," he said quietly. "The curse that follows it has claimed lives. Mates have failed to survive."
It is why
He paused, swallowing hard. "I did not want to risk you." Lyra felt a tremor of understanding, and for a moment, anger faded.
Best. She saw the fear etched in his features, not fear of her, but fear for her. She stepped closer, the forest floor soft beneath her feet, her wolf prowling at her side in silent agreement. "You do not get to decide my fate for me," she said. "I will not be protected from life. I will face it. And if the bond awakens, I will embrace it fully, with strength, with courage, with you." Kalen's silver eyes lingered on her, filled with conflict. Desire and caution clashed in him like thunderclouds. He wanted to reach for her, to claim her, to bond with her, but the weight of his lineage pressed down on him. He was the alpha, the protector, and the curse haunted every choice he made. Before either of them could speak again, the forest trembled. Shadows moved unnaturally, and the wind carried whispers that were not of the trees. A dark presence approached, a rogue wolf, twisted by an unknown curse, drawn to the stirrings of Lyra's power. Its eyes glowed red, teeth bared, and it growled, low and menacing. Right. Lyra felt her wolf surge within her, instincts screaming. She stepped in front of Kaelin, claws glinting silver in the moonlight. "Stay back," she commanded, her voice resonating with authority beyond her years. The rogue wolf lunged. Lyra's silver form met it, her strength and speed amplified by the wolf that coursed through her veins. Kaelin moved beside her, defensive, yet unsure if he could control the storm he had partially unleashed by rejecting her. A fight was a blur of movement and sound. Lyra's wolf fought with precision, her instincts guiding her as she protected Kaelin and drove the rogue back. The clash of power lit the night, fur and teeth, silver light against darkness, strength against malice. At last, the rogue wolf retreated, vanishing into the shadows with a snarl. The forest fell silent again, save for Lyra's heavy breathing and the rustle of the leaves. Kaelin approached her, awe and guilt etched into every line of his face. "You saved me," he said quietly. I misjudged you. I was wrong." Lyra's wolf within her quieted, but she did not step away. Instead, she allowed him to see her fully, strong, awakened, and unafraid. "But I am not someone to be judged or rejected," she said softly. "I am Lyra, and my wolf will not bow to fear." Kaelin's hand hovered near hers, uncertain, longing, hesitant. He wanted to bridge the gap, to undo his rejection, but the weight of the curse and the history of the pack held him back. The bond between them was not yet awakened, but the desire and tension hung in the air like lightning before a storm. For Lyra, the night was a revelation. She had been rejected, yes, but she had also discovered her own power. The wolf inside her was not just a companion. It was a part of her identity, a force she could rely on, and a guardian against the dangers she could not yet foresee. The pack would talk, the elders would judge, and Kaelin would wrestle with his fear. But Lyra knew one thing for certain. She would never allow herself to be dismissed again. The bond could awaken only when they were ready, when fear and pride gave way to trust and courage. Best. And she would make sure that time came, whether Kaelin agreed or not. As the moon climbed higher, Lyra ran through the forest, her wolf leading her steps. Free. She felt alive, unstoppable, and free. Somewhere deep in the shadows, Kaelin watched her, torn between duty and desire, fear and hope. The bond between them had shifted, fragile and electric, waiting for the moment it could be fully claimed. And the forest whispered of change. Something had awakened, and nothing would ever be the same. The forest was alive with whispers and shadows as the first light of dawn crept through the trees. Lyra moved cautiously along the path, her senses alert. The attack by the rogue wolf had left ripples in the pack, whispers of fear, awe, and curiosity. She could feel the eyes of every pack member on her, sensing her power, wondering if she would be a savior or a storm they could not survive. Kaelin followed silently, his steps deliberate and measured. The alpha's pride had been wounded by his earlier rejection, and yet, seeing Lyra's strength now, he could not deny it. The wolf inside her had grown, not just in power, but in wisdom, ration. She no longer relied on him. She led with instinct and determination, and it both frustrated and amazed him. The two of them reached a hidden glade, one of the sacred places of the pack where ancient magic lingered in the air like dust in sunlight. The pool at its center was said to reflect not just the moon but the truths of one's soul.
Lyra approached it first, gazing into the still water.
Her reflection shimmered, silver eyes glowing faintly, wolf instincts stirring beneath the surface.
"You've changed!"
Kalen said softly, stepping beside her. Rasp. His voice was almost lost in the rustle of leaves, but it carried weight. Misjudged you. I underestimated the strength you had within you.
"I should have known you were not weak."
Lyra's eyes met his, sharp and unwavering. You rejected me, Kalen, she said. Not because I was unworthy, but because you were afraid. Braids. Afraid of what could happen if the bond awakened.
You didn't trust me or yourself.
Kalen's jaw tightened. He had feared this confrontation, yet he had anticipated it. But I was trying to protect you, he admitted, his voice low. The curse. It has destroyed mates before. Psst. I could not bear the thought of losing you to it. She reached out, placing her hand on his arm, steadying him as if to bridge the gap between fear and courage.
Protection is not the same as love, she said.
I need no shield, Kalen. I need understanding, trust, and courage. Desk. And now, if the bond awakens, I will face it with my eyes open, not in fear, but in strength. Kylan's silver eyes softened, but the weight of generations pressed upon him. Aelfa's life had been dictated by duty, lineage, and the ever-looming curse that shadowed his family. But now, standing beside Lyra, he realized that the bond, and the love that could grow from it, might be the very key to overcoming the curse. Before either of them could speak further, the forest shifted. A chill ran down their spines. The rogue wolf they had encountered earlier had returned, but now it was joined by more. Shadows of creatures twisted by dark magic, drawn by the power stirring between Lyra and Kalen. The pack, sensing danger, began to stir in the distance, their growls and warnings blending with the wind. Lyra stepped forward instinctively, wolf instincts guiding her every move. "Stay back," she commanded, her voice carrying authority that no one could ignore. "I will handle this." Kalen moved beside her, not to lead but to fight alongside her. The tension between them was electric. Unspoken words, desire, fear, and respect mingling as they faced the encroaching threat. Lyra's wolf surged within her, her silver fur shimmering with light that seemed to draw power from the moon itself. The battle began as a blur of motion. The twisted wolves lunged, their eyes glowing red, teeth bared, and claws striking. Lyra met them head-on, her strength and precision honed by days of training and instinct. Kalen's movements were a shadow of hers, strong, calculated, protective, yet hesitant to overstep. Together they moved as a team, yet a gap remained. A tension neither could fully bridge yet, waiting for trust to turn into true bond.
One of the rogue wolves lunged at Kalen from the side.
Lyra reacted instantly, intercepting it with a swipe of her claws, sending it crashing into the underbrush. The pack watched, awed and fearful, as her silver glow lit the forest like lightning. Her power was unmatched, yet she remained controlled, disciplined. A wolf who had learned restraint. Kalen, catching his breath, looked at her with something unspoken in his eyes. Breaths. "You are incredible," he said, voice tight with awe and something more. Longing, respect, perhaps even love. I
I was wrong to doubt you. Lyra's gaze softened slightly, but her wolf was not yet calm.
Words mean little, she said. Actions matter. And I will continue to act. If the bond awakens, it will be because we both choose it. Not out of fear, not out of duty, but out of trust and strength. The rogue wolves began to retreat, sensing the power they faced was greater than anticipated. But the forest was still charged with danger. Ryla and Kalen's combined energy, though not fully bonded, radiated with force that even the shadows respected. Kalen stepped closer to Lyra, their proximity undeniable. The tension between them had shifted subtly. No longer just fear and frustration, but desire, curiosity, and an unspoken longing.
He wanted to reach out to bridge the space between them, but the curse, the pack, and his own fears held him back.
You could have been hurt, he said softly, almost a whisper, yet the words carried weight. I could not let that happen. Lyra turned to face him fully, her silver eyes glowing.
I am not fragile, she said. I am strong.
Stronger than you imagined. And I will continue to grow with or without your approval.
For a moment, Kalen's mask of control slipped. The Alpha, who had always been certain, commanding and untouchable, now seemed uncertain, torn between desire, duty, and fear. He reached out instinctively, brushing a lock of hair from her face, a gesture both tender and hesitant.
And yet, he said softly, I want to be beside you.
Des, whatever it is, with you. Lyra's wolf purred low in her chest. Sensing the sincerity in his touch and voice, she did not step back. Instead, she let him see her fully, not just as a mate, not just as a wolf, but as a force to be reckoned with. Then you will need more than words, she said, her voice steady. You will need trust, courage, and the willingness to face yourself. Only then can the bond awaken fully. Even the wind paused, as if listening to the unspoken truth growing between them. The rogue wolves had fled, but their presence had left a mark, a reminder that danger was ever near, and that power alone was not enough to ensure survival. Kalen nodded slowly, the weight of his responsibility pressing down on him. Then I will learn, he said. I will face my fear, my ancestors, and myself, if it means standing with you.
Lyra's wolf stirred again, a low, satisfied hum that resonated through her bones.
She felt a connection, fragile yet real, beginning to form between them. Not just as alpha and mate, not just as protector and protected, but as equals. Two wolves bound by choice, trust, and emerging love. The first rays of sunlight broke through the trees, illuminating the glade. Lyra and Kalen stood together, not yet fully bonded, but undeniably connected. The forest around them seemed to acknowledge this shift, ancient magic stirring, hinting at the awakening yet to come. But, even in the light, danger lingered. The rogue wolves were only the beginning. Dark forces, drawn by the bond's rising energy, would not rest. And the pack itself was watching, waiting to see if this fractured connection could withstand the trials ahead. Lyra's silver eyes met Kalen's once more. We have much to face, she said softly. The bond, the pack, the curse, Brett. All of it. And yet, I am not afraid.
Kalen's hand found hers, tentative but firm. Nor am I, he admitted.
Not with you by my side. The wind rustled through the trees, carrying whispers of prophecy, warning, and hope. Somewhere in the shadows, the rogue wolves regrouped, plotting their return. But for now, the glade was still. The forest seemed to hum with the quiet anticipation of what was to come. The awakening, the bond, and the trials that would forge both Lyra and Kaelin into something greater than themselves. Lyra lifted her chin, silver eyes glowing in the dawn light. Her wolf within her purred, ready, powerful, and alert. She had survived rejection, discovered her strength, and faced danger head-on. And now, standing beside Kaelin, she knew that the journey toward redemption, trust, and the awakening of their bond had only just begun. The alpha and his mate, rejected, awakened, and unbroken, stood together in the sacred glade. The forest whispered around them, alive with possibility and the promise of transformation, and in the distance, unseen, a shadow stirred, waiting for the moment to challenge the power that had begun to awaken between them. Lyra's wolf stirred again, anticipation coursing through her veins. She was ready. Kaelin was ready, though he did not yet know it fully. And the bond, fragile, electric, and untested, waited for the moment when fear would give way to trust, and the true power of their connection could be unleashed.
The forest held its breath.
The dawn broke, and the bond began to burn. The moon rose high, full and bright, casting silver light across the silver moon forest. The pack gathered at the heart of the clearing, tension crackling in the air like electricity before a storm. Brace. Tonight was not a ceremony. Tonight was a test. Dark forces had gathered at the edges of the forest, drawn by the rising power of Lyra and Kaelin. The rogue wolves, twisted by magic and malice, threatened the pack, and the bond between the alpha and his mate would be tested for the first time in full. Lyra stood beside Kaelin, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight. Her wolf prowled within her, alert and ready, muscles coiled with energy. She felt Kaelin beside her, strong, cautious, yet willing. The alpha had begun to trust her fully, and in return, she had chosen to trust him. The bond between them, though not yet fully awakened, hummed with electric potential. "Are you ready?" Kaelin asked softly, his voice barely above a whisper. But it carried through the night like a drum. His hand brushed against hers. Lyra's eyes met his, steady and unwavering. "I am," she said. "And so are we." From the shadows, a low growl rolled through the forest. The rogue wolves had returned, more numerous, more twisted than before. Their eyes glowed red, their claws scraping the earth, their teeth bared in malice. They circled, testing, waiting for the right moment to strike. Lyra stepped forward, wolf instincts guiding her. "We face them together," she said, voice carrying authority. Alpha and mate united. Kaelin nodded, muscles tensing. The bond between them hummed faintly, responding to their shared determination. With a silent signal, they moved as one. Lyra's wolf surged within her, silver light flaring. Presence, steady and strong, anchored her. Together, they were no longer two individuals. They were a force. The rogue wolves lunged, a wave of teeth and shadow. Lyra met the first, claws striking with precision, silver light flashing with each movement. Kaelin intercepted another, strength and skill flowing in tandem with hers. They moved in harmony, instinct and training blending seamlessly, the bond between them sparking like lightning in the dark. The pack followed their lead, warriors charging forward with synchronized precision. Friends. Lyra and Kaelin's energy guided them, their combined presence a beacon of power and courage. Even the elders, watching from the edges of the clearing, whispered in awe. The alpha and his mate were not merely fighting. They were awakening something ancient, something magical, that the forest itself seemed to respond to. A rogue wolf lunged at Kaelin from the left. Lyra reacted instantly, intercepting it with a swipe of her claws that sent the creature crashing into the underbrush. Another attacked from behind her, and Kaelin struck it down before it could reach her. Their movements were fluid, synchronized, and unstoppable. The bond was growing stronger, feeding off their courage and trust. But the danger was not yet over. A larger wolf emerged from the shadows, its fur dark as midnight, eyes glowing with unnatural red light. It was the leader, the one who had summoned the others, drawn to the power that now surged between Lyra and Kaelin. Its growl shook the clearing, low and threatening. Kaelin stepped forward instinctively. "Stay behind me," he said. But Lyra shook her head. "No," she said firmly. "We face it together."
Alpha and mate, bonded in strength, if not in name yet.
The wolf circled them, testing, its red eyes flicking between Lyra and Kaelin. Lyra's wolf stirred, muscles coiling, silver light flaring around her. She felt Kaelin beside her, steady and strong, and for the first time she understood the full potential of their connection. Trust, courage, and choice had begun to bind them. The battle began. The rogue leader attacked with lightning speed, teeth snapping, claws striking. Lyra met it head-on, her wolf instincts guiding her, strength and precision flowing from deep within. Kaelin struck with equal skill, covering her, supporting her, moving in perfect harmony. Every strike, every dodge, every movement reinforced the bond that was growing between them.
The fight raged through the night.
The pack followed their lead, inspired by their courage, moving with a unity that had not been seen before. The rogue wolves were fierce, but the combined power of Lyra and Kaelin was greater. Their trust in each other, their shared strength, illuminated the clearing, silver light flashing with every motion.
As the rogue leader lunged for a final attack, Lyra and Kaelin acted as one.
Their combined energy surged, a silver wave that struck the leader with overwhelming force. The wolf let out a final howl before retreating into the darkness, defeated. The remaining rogue wolves scattered, leaving the clearing in uneasy silence. Lyra stood, chest heaving, silver light fading from her eyes. Kaelin approached, his hand reaching for hers. "You were incredible," he said, voice soft but filled with awe. "I never imagined." Lyra smiled, wolf purring within her.
Neither did I, she admitted, but we faced it together.
That is what matters.
The pack approached, murmuring in admiration and relief. The elders nodded, recognizing the awakening of something ancient and powerful.
Lyra and Kaelin stood together side by side, not yet fully bonded, but undeniably connected. Their trust had been tested, their courage proven, and their bond had begun to burn brightly. Kaelin's silver eyes met hers, filled with unspoken words.
Lyra, he said softly, I was wrong to reject you.
I let fear guide me, and in doing so I denied myself. And you. Lyra's gaze softened.
"I understand now," she said. "You feared the curse, the bond, the power."
But you see now that strength comes not from avoiding fear, but from facing it. Together. First, Kaelin reached for her hand, holding it gently but firmly. "Then let us face it fully," he said. "No more hesitation. No more doubt." Lyra nodded, her wolf stirring in agreement. "Yes," she said. "We awaken this bond, not out of fear, but out of choice, trust, and courage." The moonlight intensified, silver rays illuminating the clearing. Lyra and Kaelin closed their eyes, letting the power within them flow freely. The bond that had been fragile, tentative, and untested began to ignite fully. Silver energy spiraled around them, connecting their hearts, their minds, and their wolves. The forest itself seemed to respond, leaves shimmering, water rippling, and wind carrying a soft, melodic whisper. The awakening was beautiful and powerful. Lyra's wolf merged fully with her spirit, and Kaelin's strength complemented hers. They were no longer two separate beings. They were one force, united in purpose, power, and trust. The pack watched in awe, understanding that history was being made. The bond of alpha and mate had awakened, not through fear or duty, but through courage, choice, and love. Kaelin opened his eyes, silver light reflecting in them. "Lyra," he whispered, voice trembling. "Together, we are stronger than anything."
Together we can protect the pack. Together we can overcome the curse.
Bration. Lyra smiled, her hand resting in his.
Yes!
She said. "Together nothing can break us." The forest was calm now. The robed wolves defeated, their threat removed. The pack rallied around their leaders, inspired by the display of strength, courage, and unity. Lyra and Kaelin stood at the center, wolf and human, mate and alpha, bonded in a way that transcended fear, pride, and the weight of history. As the night turned to dawn, the clearing glowed with the first light of morning. Lyra and Kaelin stood together, silver light fading, but their bond stronger than ever. The forest whispered around them, alive with magic and possibility, a promise that their power and love would shape the future of the Silvermoon Pack. But even in victory, they knew the trials were not over. The shadows that lurked at the edges of the forest would always test them. The curse of Kaelin's lineage still lingered, a reminder that vigilance and courage must never fade. And yet, standing hand in hand, their hearts aligned, they felt ready for whatever came next. Lyra lifted her head, silver eyes glowing in the morning light. Her wolf purred within her, calm and powerful. Kaelin squeezed her hand gently, eyes filled with trust, admiration, and love. Together they had faced rejection, danger, and fear. But together they had awakened a bond stronger than any curse. The pack howled in unity, a sound that echoed across the forest, carrying a promise of protection, courage, and loyalty. Breaths. Lyra and Kaelin joined in, their voices and wolves joining as one. The Silvermoon Pack had a new dawn, led by Alpha and Mate, bonded not by fear or ceremony, but by choice, strength, and love. The forest whispered its approval. The bond burned bright, a light against the darkness, a promise that no shadow could extinguish. Lyra and Kaelin stood together, not just as Alpha and Mate, but as equals, leaders and partners in all things. And somewhere deep in the forest, the wind carried a whisper, a reminder that power, trust, and love must always be nurtured, and that even the strongest bonds require courage to maintain. But for now, Lyra and Kaelin had won. The bond had awakened, the pack was safe, and the Silvermoon Forest shimmered with new life. For the first time, they were not afraid. They were ready, and together, they would face whatever came next.